Today I have some gorgeous and easy Victorian Christmas DIYs that you are going to love. My name's Crafty Kathy, and I'm so happy and thankful that you're here with me today. Let's just jump on into the first one. I grabbed one of these wood panels from the Dollar Tree. It was only $3. I love to craft with these. They are super great to have in your stash. So what I'm going to do is just get some of this Waverly ivory color paint on it, and I'm only going to give it one coat. I'm not being particularly careful. As you can see, I'm just slapping the paint on it just so that I can get a quick coat all over it. I do the edges, inside out, the back of it, the whole 9 yards. And we're going to use this IOD stamp called Portabello Road that came out this Christmas. To me, this stamp is the epitome of Victorian Christmas. When I think about a Victorian Christmas, I think about Charles Dickens in A Christmas Carol, and I think about little children gathered around while their parents are reading the Christmas story by firelight or candlelight, and I think about a group of carolers singing outside your door. I just get all warm and fuzzy when I think about it. And I can't believe I haven't used this stamp yet this Christmas. I have wanted to do these Victorian Christmas DIYs for quite a while, and I'm just now getting around to getting them done. So let's get busy. The first thing that you do whenever you get an IOD stamp that you've never used before is you've got to prep it. And you only have to do this the very first time you use it, and then you never have to do it again. You get a sanding sponge or some sandpaper. I'm just using my little hand sander here. And you just go over it very lightly in one direction, and then you go the opposite direction. And that's just to make sure that you have a really good stamp, a really good connection, and that there's no little bits of pieces or anything that was left from the factory. I'm going to use my black archival ink. And the first thing that I'm going to put down is this bakery. It, to me, is the main focus of my painting or my picture that I'm making here. So I'm going to place it down. And when you use one of their stamps, what you do is you just commit and you drop it. And when you set it down, you use one hand to always hold it still while you move the other hand around and just kind of like walk your fingers over it, and it's going to create a beautiful stamp. I like the way that their stamps come out because there's light areas and dark areas, and to me, it just makes it look more vintage and authentic. The next thing that I did was stamp up this beautiful lamppost. This, to me, just like I said, this whole stamp, I absolutely love it. I'm not going to say that again, but I just love it so much. I love the old lamppost. I think they're so pretty. And I'm just going to place this on the right side and do the exact same thing. Hold it down with one hand while I'm walking over it with the other. In this stamp set, there is this beautiful Victorian woman, and I know I wanted to use her, and I just placed her as if she's walking past that lamppost. And the IOD stamps come with these things that are called masks. A mask is basically like a thin piece of plastic that covers exactly each image, each stamp. And the reason why you need a mask is, for instance, I want this woman to be in front of a door, so I'm going to have to put her down first and put the mask over her, and then I'm going to take the door and ink it up, and I'm just going to place it basically right over the top of the lady. That's where I'm going to stamp it at. And you'll see that when I take the mask up, it looks like she's walking right in front of that door. It took me a minute to get the hang of how to do this, but I'm so glad that they have those masks with all their stamps because it makes it so much easier and it just looks so much more realistic. And guys, if you're interested in this stamp, by the way, it's not just for Christmas. You can use this any time of the year. My friend Lori over at Milton's Daughter, I believe that she may have a few of these left. Not many, if she has any at all. And I'm going to leave her information in the description box and in the comments in case you guys want to try these out, or any of the IOD products or the DIY paint. I get pent art from her. I get most of my craft supplies from Lori over at Milton's Daughter, and you guys would absolutely fall in love with her if you ever shopped at her store. So here basically what I did was cover up the lady, I covered up that door, and I'm covering up that bakery because we're going to put something in behind it. And remember, I told you guys you have to cover the piece up with the mask that you want to look like it's coming out in the front. Now, these portabello stamps have this old, it looks like, just like like an old building, and that's what we're going to place in the back. But first I grabbed these little, I guess they're like little bushes almost, or little trees, and I'm going to place them beside the lady too, just like she's walking down the streets and she's got all these beautiful flowers all around her, And here I go in with all the brickwork that I was telling you guys about. This just looks like an old building that's just in the street, and it's just so pretty. I absolutely love this stamp. So I just went along and placed a few pieces here and there to make it give you the appearance of an old building. I am so glad to have each and every one of y'all here with me today just to craft and spend a little time with me. I am so thankful for every one of y'all. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, I would love for you to click that little red button and become a part of our family. Also, if you are enjoying this video, please give me a big thumbs up because it really helps me out on YouTube. They'll push my videos out there to people who've never seen me before, and I greatly appreciate you for that. So at this point, we have our picture pretty much done. Now it's just time to do my favorite part, which is embellish it. I'm going to use DIY paint in the color Aviary, which is a perfect Christmassy green color, and it is a very Victorian looking color to me. And I'm just going to paint these pieces that I had previously made. If I'm working on a certain mold and I have a bunch of resin left, I don't like to just pour it out and waste my resin. What I do is just pour it in all of the different pieces of the mold, and then I just pull them out and use them as I need them. Now, these pieces came from the one that has the Christmas tree on it, and I believe the name of it is called Oh Christmas Tree. They're just some like holly boughs and some beautiful swags that would go over a doorway. I got all of those painted in that aviary color, and I'm just drying those up. And the next thing that I'm going to do is put some wording on here. It was driving me crazy. I cannot stand to have a picture that doesn't have words, or I don't know, it's just me. And the only thing that I could find that looked remotely halfway decent on this piece was this little, it's not chalk couture, it's just like a cheap brand that I got off of Amazon. I'm pretty sure it's in my Amazon store. But however, you can't see the whole stencil. All you can see is the part that says Merry Christmas, because I don't remember where the rest of it is. I have a habit of cutting my stencils down into pieces because I just feel that it makes it so much easier when it comes time to use them. I'm going to go with my Type Bond wood glue, and yes, it is a wood glue, but it's so good to put these molds on with. It makes them stick perfectly without any trouble, and I love Type Bond wood glue. I'm just going to put these little boughs down and these swags really quick. I'm placing one over the bakery. One is going over the lady's doorway there, and then the two up at the very top. Then down at the bottom, we're going to do that Merry Christmas, and I keep calling it chalk couture, but it's not, like I said, it's not chalk couture. I guess it's just like a basic silkscreen stencil. But I'm going to use this color that I got off of Amazon. It's called Iron Gate. It's kind of a really dark gray/black color. It's almost a velvety black looking color. And I felt like that went best with the picture. So I'm just going down and using that little tool that they give you. And I'm just going to go down and put the stencil on. And then when you pull it up, it makes a perfect stencil every time. I kind of noticed that as I was pulling these pieces off, the word Christmas is a little cattywampus there, but good thing for me, the way that it's written in cursive, it's not very noticeable, or at least I don't think so. So if you think it is, just don't tell me, because in my mind it looks great, okay? So I'm going to use my Rub and Buff. The antique gold is my favorite of all the colors of Rub and Buff, and I'm just kind of going over this haphazardly. There's really no rhyme or reason to what I'm doing. I just placed a little bit in the bow over the word bakery, and immediately I didn't like it. I thought that was just too much. So I just kept a really light finger and went over the rest of the bows. And I like to put on my Rub and Buff with my finger. I've had this Rub and Buff for such a long time, and this stuff goes a long way. All I'm going to do is go all around this picture and just kind of put it here and there to make it kind of look like it's just haphazardly placed there, you know. I think those little touches just kind of, you know, make it something special. I have some beautiful velvet ribbon that I got from Temu in my last Temu haul. I love velvet ribbon. I think it's so beautiful. And I'm just making a small bow. I'm actually using like fishing line to tie it because I didn't want you to be able to see anything tying it. And I'm just going to place that right on that lamp post. I thought it just fit there perfectly. And it's just such a beautiful touch. And it kind of gives something 3D along with, you know, all the holly and stuff. I wanted to add some kind of flowers to the top. And of course I wanted poinsettias, but I wanted red poinsettias. And all I had was white and then kind of metally tones. So you know me, I'm going to make it work. I took these poinsettia tips outside and I painted them with red spray paint. And it worked really well, as you can see. However, these poinsettias are kind of like a velvety feel, and it made them a little bit sticky, which it's no big deal. Once it dried, it was totally fine. But I just placed one of the poinsettias on the right side and then two right up in the middle. There was a couple of areas where the white was still showing because I spray painted them really quick. And guys, I took some scissors and chopped it off. I just made it kind of look like, you know, the poinsettia was actually a little bit smaller than what it was. I mean, you do what you got to do to make it work, and work with what you got. It always looks good and nobody will ever know the difference. At this point, I thought that I was totally finished, and I stepped back and looked at it, and I absolutely love this picture. But something was driving me crazy and I couldn't really put my finger on it. And I think it's because it needed to be framed like an actual picture. And so what I did was take my antique gold Rub and Buff and I went all the way around the frame to make it look as though it has a gold frame around it. And I added little flecks of gold just here and there throughout the picture to kind of give it a little something special. Hope you like it.
Merry Christmas, baby. Reindeer's coming out to play. Santa Claus is packing the presents, making sure you've been behaving okay. Merry Christmas, honey. Yeah. The snowman's dusting off his hat, putting on the show for everybody, to give them a smile that lasts another year. There's something that happens when sleigh bells are ringing, when December is, when the children are singing, yeah.
We're moving right along into the second one. The first one was a little bit more detailed, but the rest of these are so fast, if you blink, you may miss them. This is just an old, like, candle holder piece that I had picked up at a thrift store years ago. I paid $2 for each of them. I actually had two, and one of them broke. It fell off my wall and broke a few months ago. I wish I would have kept it because I could have just fixed it, but I don't know. I just threw it away. But I wanted to make something really cute out of the one that I have. All I've done here is just pop off the back, and as you can see, that's actually a mirror that's inside there that I had painted whenever I did a previous DIY with this back in the summer. And I just sanded this down the best that I could, and I took it outside and I spray painted it a color called almond, which is just kind of a beigey ivory kind of color. And I'm so excited to show you guys these prints that I got from 23 Pixels. It's an Etsy store, and you just buy the prints. They were just a couple of dollars, and they have all these beautiful Victorian children, and I got some that had like vintage Santa Clauses, Victorian Santas. We're going to be using some of these different prints that I got in the next few DIYs. I'm going to leave the lady's shop and information below. It's called 23 Pixels. That way, in case y'all want to get some of these, or not just these, she sells all different types. I even saw grunge Christmas. You just won't believe all the stuff that's in her store. I printed mine out on sticker paper. I like to use sticker paper from time to time because you don't have to decoupage anything. You just peel off the back and pop it on whatever you want to put it on. And I had some of this glossy sticker paper, and I'm going to just place my image down, make sure I've got a good adhesion. Then I'm just going to stick the back right back on it. This piece turned out so gorgeous, guys. It speaks so much, and I didn't really have to do that much to it. So all I'm going to do is simply use this green velvet ribbon that I have. I'm going to tie another bow like I did earlier because I don't want to do anything else. I think it speaks volumes exactly the way it is. We are moving right along into DIY number 3. Now this one is this beautiful snowflake piece that I found the other day at Dollar General. I only paid $3 for it, and I like it the way it is, except for I wanted to jazz it up just a little bit. That plaid pattern that's in the center of it seemed kind of just plain to me, you know. So it had like a 3D effect, and I was able to run a box cutter underneath it and pop off that top layer. What we're going to do is just paint right over that part that's like the plaid color, and I just gave it one quick coat of the DIY paint called beadboard. And now we're going to do some decoupage. My friend Jill, who is also a subscriber of the channel here, she sent me a bunch of different napkins. And look at this gorgeous napkin with this Victorian Santa on it. I have to admit, I think some of those Victorian Santas are kind of creepy and weird looking, but this guy is perfect. I always squirt a little bit of water on my silicone mat and use a really thin paintbrush to go around my image to tear it off. I do not use scissors to cut it. I don't like straight edges. I like it to be torn because it just looks more authentic, and it just looks so much better that way. So what I did was go around with my little paintbrush and I wet it. I pulled the image off, and let me show you how I separate the layers. I take a glue stick, and I use those permanent glue sticks that are Elmer's brand. You can get them on Amazon. And I just rub a little bit on 2 of my fingers and then grab the napkin and pull it away, and it pulls the layers off with no problem whatsoever. And for me, a glue stick is the way to go anytime that I'm decoupaging. Probably 90% of the time I decoupage using a glue stick. If you don't use the wet products like the Mod Podge and stuff, there's very little wrinkles. If you ever, I never get wrinkles, and I'm not saying that in a bragging way. I'm just saying that if you go slow and you do the techniques that I show you how to do, you're not going to have wrinkles. It's just so much easier than to have to fool with Mod Podge and those wet products. And I do use those permanent glue sticks, because if you use the washable ones, there is a chance that it could come off. But when you use the permanent, it's not going anywhere. I just peeled off little pieces of the napkin because it wasn't wide enough to cover the whole surface of that star. So I just took some of the pieces that had like different writing on it. I peeled off very small pieces, and I'm putting them on the side so it will look like one whole cohesive picture. All I do is just put down a little bit of the glue stick and stick the napkin right over the top of it. Then I'm just going to add glue stick all over that area right there where you see the white that I painted. And then I'm just going to stick my napkin right down in the center. And see, there's not a wrinkle one on that napkin. I always kind of start off in the middle, using my fingers in the center and then kind of working my way out. Once I got the napkin put back down, I went ahead and placed the star back over it, because I felt like it would be easier to get that excess napkin off after I had that piece down. I used the end of that wet paintbrush that we used to tear the image earlier, and I just kind of wet the napkin where I needed to tear it. I know you can't really see what I'm doing there, but I just wet it. And there was a little area at the very top where I just used my X-Acto knife and just cut it, and it came off with no problem. I love the way that this piece is looking. I think it's so beautiful, but I did want to darken up that snowflake just a little bit. So I have some Waverly Antique Wax that probably has about 10% of wax left in the can, and then I filled it up with water. So it's really, really watered down antique wax. And I just kind of went all over the top of this. I didn't wipe off the excess because it's already very watered down. And then to finish it off, I took some of that red velvet ribbon that we were using earlier, and I just made a simple little bow that's going to go on the very top. I'm just going to stick it right over that burlap bow that's already there, because I like that, and I just think it adds to the whole piece. The last thing that I'm going to do is add a cute little pic that I got off of Amazon right to the top. And I think this piece is sexier than socks on a rooster. Thank you so much, Miss Jill, for sending me these napkins, and I hope y'all like this one.
Sleigh bells are ringing out by the sea, sending a message of love and sympathy. I've been waiting by the phone, and this song will meet you at the door. This Christmas will be something unreal. Baby, I'm falling under.
Now we're on our very last DIY. We're going to make 2 ornaments out of some of those beautiful Victorian kids that we got from 23 Pixels. Now remember, I told you guys that I printed these off on different types of paper. I printed some off on like the sticker paper, some was on cardstock, and some was just on regular printer paper. Now, after my experience, I have to tell you the easiest one to use was just the regular printer paper. I've already got one of these done, and I put it in there with that thicker cardstock, but I don't recommend using that, and let me show you how to do this. You just cut your picture down, and I had to keep cutting my picture down smaller and smaller to make sure that it's going to fit in that ornament correctly. And these ornaments came from Hobby Lobby. They're glass ornaments. I think they're so pretty. What I did, and I know it's off of the focus here, you can't really see, is I rolled the picture up. I have a piece of double-sided tape on the back side of that picture, and when you put your picture down inside the ornament, you're going to hold on to that tape the whole time, and when you get the picture far enough down, you're going to place that tape on the neck part of, the top of the ornament, and that's what's going to hold it in place where it's not going to go anywhere. Now when you get your picture down in there, it's rolled up, so I used like the end of a pencil and the end of a paintbrush to kind of unroll it and get it, a little bit more pliable the way that I need it to be. I could not get it fully rolled out, so what I did was just take a little bit of liquid patina. It's just the first thing that I grabbed. You can use Mod Podge or anything like that. I have a little bit of it on the end of this paintbrush, and I'm just running that paintbrush behind the picture. That way the picture is going to grab onto that liquid patina and stay exactly where I need it to stay. Now, one more thing that I need to tell you that's extremely important. When you are going to be using anything wet like Mod Podge or liquid patina or anything like that on a picture that you've printed out, make sure that you protect that picture first, or else it's going to run. What I use is that Rust-Oleum Matte Clear, it's called, and it's just a sealer. It's going to seal your picture in so it's not going to run, because you don't want to do all that work and then have it run and messed up, So then I just took just a little bitty minuscule amount of glitter and kind of poured it in the bottom of these ornaments just to give them a little something different besides, just the picture of the boy and the girl. Now that it's all said and done, if I would have had more time, I think what I would have done with these ornaments is painted the back half of them. I would have painted it a color like a white or an ivory color, because I think it would have made that picture of the boy and the girl pop even more. But all I did was finish them off by putting the tops back on and using my rub and buff in the color called Antique Gold. It's my favorite. I just covered the tops of them, and then I took some of that beautiful red velvet ribbon and tied them up. And that's all I did with these ornaments, and I think they turned out very beautiful. Please let me know what you think and which piece you liked best. I just want to thank you so much for stopping by my channel and sitting a spell with me and doing a little crafting and chatting. If y'all like these Victorian Christmas DIYs, please give me a big thumbs up and also comment and let me know if you liked them, because I've never tried these before and I've got a ton of ideas to do even more. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, hit that little red button, because we are in for a wild ride and I don't want you to miss it. I'll see you back here next time, Lord willing, and the creek don't rise. If you're watching this by phone or iPad, you can click on my face right here and it'll subscribe you to my channel. Isn't that cool? Also, if you did like this video, click on this next one and it'll take you there as soon as this one's done. I love y'all. God bless you and your families.